Get out of my hotel before I have you arrested. Brian Keller's voice thundered across the marble lobby as his polished Oxford shoe crushed Alicia Monroe's black metal credit card into the floor. Gasps rippled through the midnight crowd. Emily Ross, the front desk clerk, giggled nervously. Want me to grab a mop? That card probably has diseases on it. Phones snapped up like weapons. Instagram Live already climbing into the thousands. What none of them knew, not even the staff laughing in her face, was that the woman they were humiliating owned every chandelier above their heads, every inch of marble under their feet, and every single paycheck they depended on. 11:35 p.m. The Sterling Grand Hotel in downtown Chicago pulsed with the kind of late-night rhythm only luxury could produce. Crystal chandeliers threw their light down like liquid fire, spreading across polished marble floors that seemed to have absorbed centuries of wealth. The air smelled faintly of imported lilies and expensive cologne, every note carefully curated to remind guests that this wasn't just a hotel, it was a temple of status. Alicia Monroe walked in quietly through the revolving doors. She wasn't dressed like the clientele who usually swept across this lobby. No gown, no tailored suit, just a pair of canvas sneakers that had seen too many airports, faded jeans, and a crisp white shirt rolled at the sleeves. Over her shoulder hung a messenger bag, scuffed, worn, and clearly practical, not decorative. She paused beneath the chandelier, catching her reflection in the mirrored wall. Her hair was tied back in a simple bun, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion. 12 hours of travel behind her, one crucial conference call ahead of her. At 12 o'clock m. sharp, Tokyo would be on the line. Yamamoto Industries. 6 months of negotiations teetered on the edge of success. $200 million in contracts would be sealed if she could stay awake, steady, and unshaken. But to close that deal, she needed the privacy of the penthouse suite she'd booked weeks earlier. The suite wasn't just a luxury, it was the battlefield where she would win or lose everything. She approached the reception desk. Emily Ross, the young clerk on night duty, barely glanced up from her computer screen. Her fingers clacked as she scrolled through some shopping site on the side. Alicia waited patiently, sliding her Centurion card across the marble counter. Reservation under Monroe, Alicia Monroe, penthouse suite 45501, she said. Emily's eyes flicked down at the card. The black metal gleamed under the chandelier's light, but her lips twitched with a smirk. Centurion cards weren't supposed to come from women in sneakers. She tapped a few keys on her keyboard. Her tone was bored. You got ID? Alicia reached for her wallet, sliding her license across. She noticed the way Emily leaned back slightly, as if the card might bite her. We don't get a lot of guests like you checking into the penthouse, Emily said, her voice honeyed with fake politeness. Guests like me? Alicia asked evenly. Emily shrugged, brushing a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. You know, casual. Her eyes flicked over Alicia's jeans and messenger bag. Alicia kept her voice calm. My company made the reservations 6 weeks ago. The confirmation is in your system. Emily typed slowly, sighing as if the keys weighed 100 pounds. She hadn't noticed Brian Keller, the night manager, stepping out from the office behind her. Brian was tall, broad-shouldered, his suit cut sharp but his smile sharper. He'd worked here long enough to know how to perform authority. What's the issue, Emily? Brian asked. Emily tilted her head toward Alicia. Penthouse booking says her name's Alicia Monroe and doesn't really fit the profile. Brian's eyes scanned Alicia in a single sweep. Clothes, shoes, bow. He chuckled under his breath, the kind of laugh that wasn't amused but dismissive. He plucked the Centurion card off the counter, holding it between 2 fingers like a dirty napkin. This is cute, he said. Where'd you buy it? Craigslist? Maybe a corner market? Alicia straightened, her body taut but her voice still steady. That's my card, and I have a confirmed penthouse reservation. Brian smirked at Emily. Should I call housekeeping for a mop? Who knows what germs are on this thing? Emily giggled, covering her mouth with one hand. Alicia's phone buzzed inside her bag. A reminder. Yamamoto call in 25 minutes. She inhaled deeply, counting to 3. She had dealt with arrogant gatekeepers before, but something about Brian's sneer, the way Emily giggled, triggered the old, familiar burn in her chest. She thought of her grandmother's words. Sometimes silence is the sharpest blade. Still, she reached for her phone, pulling up the email confirmation. The Sterling Grand logo glowed bright on the screen, her name stamped in bold. She laid it on the counter. Brian didn't even glance at it. Anyone can Photoshop an email. Emily leaned over to peek at the screen. It looks real, she whispered. Brian scoffed. It looks fake. And even if it wasn't, does she look like penthouse material? The words carried just far enough for a couple in evening wear to hear as they strolled past. They slowed, whispering behind jeweled hands. Alicia slid her phone back into her bag. Her voice was measured, deliberate. I'm not here for your approval. I'm here for my reservation. 11:42 p.m. The lobby clock ticked, each second pounding like a drum. Alicia felt her heartbeat matching it. From the lounge area, Sophia Park lifted her phone discreetly. She just finished a night out and had decided to wait in the lobby for her rideshare. When the exchange at the desk turned sharp, she tapped Instagram Live. Y'all, something wild is happening in this hotel lobby right now, she whispered. The view account, 23, then 47, then 89. Brian leaned closer to Alicia, his voice dropping to a low hiss. This is a 5-star establishment. Fortune 500 CEOs, diplomats, celebrities. Look around. Do you see anyone else dressed like you? Sneakers? A thrift store bag? You don't belong here. The smirk on his face wasn't just arrogance. It was performance. He was playing for the crowd now. Emily giggled again, nervous but complicit. 11:47 p.m. Alicia's phone buzzed once more. Conference call T 13 minutes. The lobby grew quieter. The whispers spread. The elderly couple settled into chairs to watch. A businessman paused his phone call. Ears pricked. A teenage boy in the corner elbowed his sister, both of them pulling out phones to film. Alicia bent slowly, picking up her card where Brian had tossed it. The metal felt warm from his shoe's pressure. She slid it back into her bag. Her voice, calm but cutting, rose just enough for the lobby to hear. I have a reservation. Penthouse 45501, under Alicia Monroe. For a moment, silence. Then Brian's laugh rang out, sharp and cruel. Lady, I've been in this business for 8 years. I can spot a scam a mile away. And you're textbook. Walking in here with your bus, station sneakers, and your attitude. Emily giggled again. He's not wrong. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. A businessman nearby frowned. Sophia's live stream ticked past 300 viewers. Comments rolled. This is disgusting. Someone call them out? Still happening in 2025? Unbelievable. At Sterling Hotels Do Better. 11:50 p.m. 10 minutes to Tokyo. Alicia's chest tightened. She could feel the entire room weighing her down, pressing her into a box she'd been shoved into before. She inhaled again. Steady, steady. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her head. Let them underestimate you. It makes the reveal sharper. Behind the desk, Emily whispered to Brian. She's still insisting. Should I just cancel the penthouse booking? Brian grinned. Do it. Open it up for someone who actually belongs here. Alicia's fingers tightened around her phone. The clock on the wall glowed like a countdown. 11:52 p.m. 8 minutes, Sophia whispered into her phone camera. This woman's about to get thrown out of a hotel she literally has a reservation at. This is straight discrimination. The comments exploded, numbers climbing, 800 live viewers. Brian tapped his watch dramatically. You've got 2 minutes to walk out of here before we call CPD. The lobby's air changed. The crowd leaned in. Alicia's silence, her stillness, felt like the eye of a storm. She looked straight at Brian. Her voice was quiet, even. I suggest you check your employee handbook. Section 14.3. Brian blinked. What the hell are you talking about? Check it, Alicia said. The businessman in the corner raised his eyebrows. Sophia whispered, she's quoting their handbook. Y'all, her live stream hit 1,200 viewers, 11:54 p.m., 6 minutes to Tokyo. Brian waved to the corner. David, get up here. From behind a marble pillar, Security Chief David Harris approached. 6-foot frame, navy uniform crisp even at this late hour. His eyes scanned Alicia's face. Then the crowd. Something in his gut said wrong. What's the problem? David asked. Brian gestured like a showman. Scammer, fake cards, fake ID, won't leave. David studied Alicia carefully. Her eyes held steady, unafraid. Ma'am, I'll need you to come with me. Oh, before you do, Alicia said, I strongly recommend you read section 14.3 of your handbook. Sophia's live stream hit 1,800 viewers. The comments screamed across the screen, don't let them do this. Check the handbook. This hotel is done. David hesitated. Brian rolled his eyes. Classic scam tactic. She's stalling with legal mumbo-jumbo. 11:55 p. 5 minutes to Tokyo. Alicia reached into her bag, pulling out a slim leather folder. She laid it on the marble counter. Since you won't believe my words, perhaps you'll believe your own paperwork. The room shifted. Phones raised higher. The elderly couple leaned forward. The businessman's jaw tightened. Sophia's live stream surged past 2,000. The storm was about to break. The leather folder sat on the marble counter like a loaded gun no one expected Alicia Monroe to draw. The lobby had fallen into a hush, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioning and the ticking of the grandfather clock near the elevators. Phones tilted higher. Sophia Park whispering into her live stream. She's got receipts. I don't know what's about to happen, but y'all better stay tuned. Her viewer count ticked past 20,500, climbing like a stock chart gone wild. Brian Keller leaned forward, smirking, but his bravado carried the faintest edge of doubt. Lady, nothing you got in that bag is going to convince me you belong here. You're wasting everyone's time. Alicia flipped open the folder. Inside, neatly arranged under sterling brand letterhead, were pages of numbers and charts. She slid the first sheet toward Brian with deliberate calm. This, she said, is your quarterly performance report. Brian frowned, snatching the paper up. His eyes darted across the numbers. Revenue down 23%. Guest satisfaction at 2. 3 out of 5 stars. Staff turnover nearly 90%. He blinked, confused. How the hell do you even have this? Emily Ross leaned closer, her mouth slightly open. Linda Tran, the assistant manager who had emerged from the back office, craned her neck to read over Brian's shoulder. Her face paled. These are confidential documents. Linda stammered. This is corporate property. There's no way you... Alicia reached back into the folder, pulled out a business card, and placed it next to the report. The black lettering gleamed against the white marble. Alicia Monroe, Chief Executive Officer, Monroe Ventures. The gasp from the crowd rippled through the lobby like a shockwave. The businessman who had been watching from across the room muttered, "Oh, hell," pulling his phone up higher to capture every second. Brian's eyes widened, then narrowed to, "Oh, no, you're lying. You're..." Alicia cut him off, her voice calm but cutting. Would you like me to pull up the acquisition agreement as well? Monroe Ventures acquired Sterling Hotel Group for $847 million, March 15th, 2025. That means... She leaned slightly closer, not raising her voice, but somehow making it carry through the entire lobby. Every paycheck in this building comes from me. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the crackling buzz of disbelief. Sophia's live stream view count exploded past 4,000. Comments scrolled so fast they blurred. Plot twist of the century. She owns the hotel. Brian is done. Brian staggered backward a step, gripping the marble counter as though it were the only thing keeping him upright. His face went pale, then blotchy red. You can't be serious. You don't look. Careful, Alicia interrupted softly. You're about to finish that sentence in front of 5,000 witnesses online. Sophia whispered breathlessly into her phone. She caught him. Oh my God, she caught him. The businessman in the tailored suit started slow clapping, the sound echoing in the stunned lobby. Best corporate drama I've ever seen in 20 years of consulting, he said loudly. His voice carried. And I travel 300 days a year. The elderly couple, who had whispered earlier, now looked mortified, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. A teenage boy blurted, "This is better than Netflix." His sister shushed him, but didn't lower her phone. Linda's hands shook as she picked up Alicia's business card. "Ms. Monroe," she stammered, mascara already smudging under her eyes. "If we had known," Alicia's gaze snapped to her. "If you had known I was wealthy, powerful, your boss's boss's boss, then what? You would have smiled, offered me champagne? That isn't respect. That's opportunism." Her phone buzzed. 11:57 p.m. 3 minutes to Tokyo. Brian tried to salvage his authority, straightening his jacket, forcing a smile that looked more like a grimace. "Ma'am, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. If you'd simply identified yourself earlier." "I did identify myself," Alicia said. "I gave you my name, my reservation confirmation, my government ID. You chose to ignore all of it because I didn't look the way you wanted me to look." The crowd murmured. Several guests nodded, murmuring agreement. Sophia's live stream hit 6,000 viewers. "Expose them." One comment read, "She's schooling them with facts." Another said, "David Harris, the security chief, shifted his weight, torn between his training and the reality unfolding." "Ms. Monroe," he said carefully, "I believe you should listen," Alicia said firmly, but not unkindly, "because what happens in the next 2 minutes will decide whether this hotel survives the night." Sophia gasped into her phone. She's about to drop the hammer. I can feel it. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes. Alicia opened the folder again, pulling out a printed email chain. The subject line was bold and unmistakable. Discrimination complaints, Sterling Grand Chicago. Urgent review required. She held it up, letting the crowd see. 47 complaints in the last 3 months. Guests describing being judged, dismissed, harassed. Staff assuming they couldn't afford their rooms. Staff making jokes about their appearance. She flipped to a highlighted section. One report even said, and I quote, "The manager asked if I was sure I was in the right hotel." Every eye turned to Brian, his jaw tightened, his lips pressed thin. "This location," Alicia continued, her voice steady as a surgeon's hand, "is our highest risk property for discrimination lawsuits. Our legal department estimates damages could reach $5.7 million if cases proceed." And after tonight, she gestured toward Sophia's phone, the live stream now at 8,000 viewers. "Our exposure has multiplied exponentially." Brian's mask cracked. This isn't fair. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know." "You knew I was a human being," Alicia snapped, her tone sharp for the first time. "That should have been enough." The businessman clapped again. "Tell him, Queen." Sophia's live stream comments exploded. "She said what needed to be said. Brian's career is over. Respect is not conditional." 11:59 p.m. 1 minute. Alicia reached into her bag one last time. Pulling out her iPad, she swiped, then turned it toward the crowd. On the Sterling Hotel Group corporate leadership page, her headshot gleamed. Same face, same woman, only in a tailored business suit instead of jeans. Underneath, majority shareholder, chief executive officer, Monroe Ventures, The room went still. Even the chandelier seemed to freeze. Alicia tucked the iPad away, checked her phone. Midnight, her ringtone cut through the silence. Yamamoto Industries, Tokyo. She answered smoothly, not breaking eye contact with Brian. Yamamoto-san, yes, I'm ready for our call. I'm conducting the audit I mentioned earlier. I'll have findings for tomorrow's board meeting. She paused, listening, then added, yes, the discrimination issues are worse than expected, but a solution is already in motion. She ended the call, slid her phone back into her bag, and looked across the lobby at the wreckage of pride and arrogance. Brian trembling, Linda near tears, Emily clutching the counter as if bracing against a storm, guests filming, whispering, waiting for the next blow. Sophia's live stream pushing past 10,000. Alicia exhaled slowly, calm again, centered. Now, she said, gathering her folder and laying it flat on the marble. Let's discuss your employment. The hush was absolute. Even Sophia's live stream chat slowed for a heartbeat, as if the internet itself were holding its breath. This was no longer about one night's humiliation. It was about the culture of an entire empire, and Alicia Monroe had just declared war. The silence in the lobby had a weight to it, like the air before a thunderstorm. The crystal chandeliers sparkled above, but their light seemed colder now, harsher, as if even the fixtures wanted to expose the truth. Guests leaned forward in velvet chairs, phones raised higher. Sophia Park's live stream had just crossed 12,000 viewers. Comments flew so fast they looked like a slot machine spinning out of control. She owns the hotel. This is the justice we live for. Brian is cooked. Alicia Monroe closed her folder with a quiet snap, the sound loud in the breathless room. She didn't raise her voice, but every syllable carried. Brian Keller, night manager, employee ID 4471. Annual salary, $54,000. Brian's head jerked up, his face blotchy and pale at once. How do you... I know everything, Alicia said, her tone sharper now, the edge of a blade unsheathed. She pulled another document from the folder and laid it flat. In the past 6 months, 23 formal complaints have been filed against you personally. Guest satisfaction surveys repeatedly cite your arrogance, your dismissiveness, and, let's not sugarcoat it, your open discrimination. Gasps rippled through the room. A teenage boy in the corner whispered to his sister, "Bro, this is literally a trial." Brian shook his head violently. "That's not possible. If there were that many complaints, I'd have been told." "You were told," Alicia cut in, advancing the iPad screen she'd propped on the counter. The next slide displayed bold red text, 17 written warnings issued, 4 corrective coaching sessions. Last performance review, 1.8 out of 5. Brian's mouth opened and closed. He looked like a fish gasping on dry land. Sweat trickled down his temple despite the perfect climate control. Your department's guest satisfaction scores, Alicia continued, are the lowest in our North American portfolio. And do you know what guests wrote most often when describing their experience? She looked straight into his eyes. That you made them feel like they didn't belong. The businessman in the tailored suit muttered, "She's gutting him with receipts," Sophia whispered to her phone. "You guys, I swear this is better than any courtroom drama. She's dragging him by his employee file." Her viewer count jumped to 14,000. Brian's voice cracked. I have a family, a mortgage. Please, Miss Monroe, you don't understand." Alicia's eyes flashed. "I understand perfectly. You had a choice every single night to treat people with dignity. You chose to sneer, to crush, to humiliate. That was never about company policy. That was about who you are when you think no one is watching." She gestured at the sea of phones pointed at him. "But tonight, everyone is watching." The crowd murmured louder, emboldened. The businessman clapped once, sharp. The elderly couple looked stricken. Realizing their silence earlier now felt like complicity. Alicia turned to Linda Tran, the assistant manager. Assistant manager, employee ID 4203, annual salary $61,000, 19 guest complaints in 6 months, 7 failed mystery shopper evaluations out of 8, diversity training overdue by 8 months, customer service certification expired last year. Linda's knees buckled. She grabbed the counter, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Miss Monroe, I was just following Brian's lead. I thought I was supporting my supervisor. I never meant for... You're not a child, Alicia said firmly. You're an adult entrusted with leadership. And tonight, when you had the chance to de-escalate, to check facts, to show empathy, you chose instead to pile on. You sniffed my ID like a counterfeit bill. You called for the police without cause. You didn't just follow Brian, you enjoyed the performance. Linda's lips trembled. I was wrong. Correct, Alicia said coldly. The question is whether being wrong tonight has consequences tomorrow. The live stream shot past 16,000. Comments erupted. Fire her too. She's crying now, but she laughed earlier. Accountability in real time. Emily Ross, the young clerk, shrank behind the counter, her knuckles white against the polished wood. Alicia turned her gaze on her. Emily Ross, front desk clerk, 24 years old, salary $36,000. Do you know why I'm speaking your name now? Emily's voice cracked. Because I laughed. I shouldn't have laughed. Alicia nodded slowly. You did more than laugh. You suggested my card might have diseases. You mocked my reservation. You typed with the intention of canceling a paid booking. Do you understand the weight of that? Emily's face crumpled. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I was nervous. I wanted to fit in with them. The room hummed with discomfort. The businessman muttered, wanting to fit in doesn't excuse cruelty. Sophia's live stream caught every tear, every broken syllable. Her comments now numbered in the tens of thousands. This is a reckoning. Emily's young, but damn, she's got to own it. Alicia let the silence stretch, forcing Emily to feel the full weight of her complicity. Then she turned to David Harris, the security chief. His stance was straight, but his jaw was tight. David Harris, Alicia said, security chief, 6 years at Sterling Grand, called in tonight to escort me out of the premises. David stiffened. Ma'am, I was following protocol, but when you mentioned section 14.3, I hesitated. You did more than hesitate, Alicia said. You questioned. You asked for clarity. That's what leadership looks like. And unlike your colleagues, you didn't sneer. You didn't laugh. You didn't pile on. For that, I thank you. David's shoulders eased a fraction. Relief mingled with the weight of responsibility. Alicia straightened. Now, let me be clear. Sterling Hotel Group cannot and will not tolerate discriminatory behavior. Section 14.3 of your handbook states, immediate termination without severance pay, plus personal legal liability for damages to company reputation. The words echoed like a verdict. Guests in the lobby shifted, whispering to each other. Phones zoomed closer. Alicia raised her hand, ticking off fingers one by one. You have 3 choices. 1, immediate resignation. You leave tonight, quietly. I provide neutral references. You salvage what little reputation you have left. 2, termination for cause. This incident goes on your permanent record. No references. Future employers will see you were fired for discrimination. 3, a full corporate investigation. Months of scrutiny, depositions, public records, media attention. Your name's attached to this incident forever. Her voice cut through the silence like glass. Brian Keller. Choose. Brian's hands shook as he unclipped his name badge. His voice was barely audible. I resign. He set the badge down on the marble with a metallic click that echoed louder than any shout. A murmur of approval swept the crowd. Phones zoomed in. Sophia whispered, He's gone. He just folded. Alicia turned to Linda. Your choice? Linda sobbed, tears streaking her face. Resignation. I resign. She placed her badge beside Brian's, the two lying side by side like headstones. Alicia's face didn't soften. She only nodded once. Your apologies are noted. Then her eyes slid to Emily. The young clerk was trembling, her hands clutching each other. Emily Ross, your choice. Emily's breath came in ragged bursts. I, I don't want to be that person. I want to learn. I want to do better. Please, give me a chance to fix this. Alicia studied her for a long moment. The tension in the room was suffocating. Learning requires honesty. Say it plainly. Emily swallowed hard. I humiliated you. I made assumptions about your race, your clothes, your bag. I laughed when I should have spoken up. I was cruel because I wanted to belong. I was wrong. The words cracked but carried. The crowd murmured. Sophia whispered into her phone. She admitted it. Finally, Bafustin. Alicia nodded once, slowly but on. That's honest. And honesty is the first step. You remain on probation for 90 days. Fail once, and you're gone. Emily sagged with relief, tears streaking her cheeks. Finally, Faye, Alicia turned back to David. And you, David Harris, what's your choice? David straightened. His voice rang with conviction. I choose to stay and help you rebuild. What happened tonight should never happen again. Anywhere. Ever. For the first time, Alicia smiled. It transformed her face, warmth breaking through the steel. Then let's get to work. The lobby erupted in murmurs, claps, phones flashing. Sophia's live stream surged past 20,000 viewers. Guests whispered that they had just witnessed history. Brian and Islinda gathered their belongings like sleepwalkers, slipping into the Chicago night with their reputations in ruins. Emily stood shakily, wiping her face, while David remained steady beside Alicia, a pillar ready to support reform. Alicia placed her folder back into her bag. Her voice was quiet now, but every word carried finality. This hotel was broken long before tonight, but tonight we begin rebuilding its soul. The chandeliers glimmered above as if nodding their approval. The badges of Brian Keller and Linda Tran lay on the marble counter like discarded relics of arrogance. The hush in the lobby was no longer tense with fear, but alive with anticipation. Phones tilted higher, faces leaned closer. Even the chandeliers seemed to hum with the electricity of change. Alicia Monroe turned slowly, surveying the faces before her, the guests still clutching champagne glasses, the family with teenagers who had stopped mid-check-in, the elderly couple looking shaken and remorseful, and beyond them, the digital army. Sophia Park's live stream now pushing 22,000 viewers, comments pouring in faster than they could be read. This is history. Guest dignity matters. Other companies, take notes. Alicia set her messenger bag gently on the counter and opened her laptop. The Sterling Hotel Group logo bloomed across the wall-mounted display screen. A presentation titled Immediate Reform Implementation, Sterling Grand Chicago appeared. Gasps rippled. Someone whispered. She came prepared. This, Alicia began, her voice calm and deliberate, is not just about one night, not about one mistake. This is about a culture that has festered inside these walls and must be cut out. Root and stem. She clicked to the first slide. Staffing changes, effective immediately. Janet Davis, regional manager, has already been contacted. As of tomorrow morning, Kasia Williams, one of our top-performing general managers from Boston, will take over leadership of this property with full authority to implement reforms. She is a 15-year veteran of hospitality and specializes in cultural transformation. Gasps again. Emily Ross blinked rapidly, her face flushing. David Harris nodded firmly, the relief evident in his posture. Sophia whispered into her phone, she's bringing in reinforcements. This is like watching an empire change hands in real time. The live stream view count jumped to 25,000. Second, Alicia continued, Advancing to a new slide, emergency training sessions. Within 48 hours, every staff member at this property will undergo intensive retraining, cultural sensitivity, unconscious bias recognition, guest dignity protocols. Dr. Amanda Foster, a nationally recognized diversity consultant, will lead the sessions. Attendance is mandatory. Employment will be contingent upon successful completion. Emily swallowed hard but nodded, whispering, "Yes, ma'am," under her breath. Alicia clicked again. Guest Dignity Initiative. The title filled the screen in bold letters. This is the cornerstone of reform. Effective immediately, Sterling Grand Chicago will implement a new system to ensure every guest is treated with dignity, regardless of appearance, race, or perceived wealth. She held up her phone, showing an app prototype. QR codes will be displayed throughout the property. Any guest can instantly report mistreatment. Complaints go directly to corporate leadership, bypassing local management entirely. Transparency is non-negotiable. Murmurs rippled. The businessman in the tailored suit let out a low whistle. "That's brilliant. No more cover-ups." David Harris leaned forward, studying the screen. "So guests get a direct line to the top?" "Exactly," Alicia replied. "No more excuses, no more gatekeeping." The crowd hummed with approval. Sophia's live stream viewers surged past 28,000. Comments scrolled. "Other hotels better watch out. This is how you fix systemic problems." "She's a CEO with receipts and solutions." Alicia advanced again. "Technology upgrades. New security cameras with audio recording will be installed in all public spaces, not to spy, but to protect both guests and employees. Recordings will ensure truth in any dispute. Guest satisfaction metrics will feed directly into performance reviews and compensation. Discrimination complaints will trigger automatic external investigations." Emily's breath hitched. She whispered almost to herself, "Every word I said tonight, it would have been on record." "That's the point," Alicia said, her eyes flicking toward her. "Accountability is a teacher, and it never sleeps." The elderly woman in the silk evening dress raised her hand timidly. "But what about us? The guests? We just sat here. We whispered. We didn't speak up." Alicia turned to her, her tone gentler. "Silence is complicity, but silence can also become awareness. Part of this initiative includes bystander intervention resources. Guests will learn how to safely intervene or report when they witness discrimination. You will not be powerless. You will be partners." The woman nodded, her eyes brimming. "Thank you." Sophia's viewers leapt past 30,000. She's changing the game, even teaching guests to speak up. Respect. Alicia moved to the next slide. Community accountability. This hotel will partner with local civil rights organizations. An external oversight board, comprised of community leaders, will review our practices quarterly. Dr. Patricia Henderson from the Chicago Urban League has already agreed to serve as liaison. Alicia pulled out a business card and handed it to Sophia, still live streaming. "If you want to ensure the truth keeps flowing, talk to Dr. Henderson. She'll make sure promises become reality." Sophia nearly dropped her phone, her voice breathless. "You guys, she just handed me the contact card for their community liaison. This isn't just talk. This is structure." Her viewers skyrocketed to 35,000. Alicia paused, closing her laptop briefly. "Now let's talk about accountability in this room." Her gaze shifted, steady and unwavering. "Emily Ross, you remain employed, but you are on probation for 90 days. You will be retrained, you will learn, and you will prove you deserve the privilege of serving guests." Emily's voice cracked. "I will. Ms. Monroe, I promise. I'll do better." "David Harris," Alicia continued, turning to him, "your role expands. You are no longer just chief of security. You are guest relations manager. Your responsibility is to ensure every person feels safe and respected." David straightened, pride and determination in his voice. "Understood." I won't let this place fall again. The crowd broke into light applause. Even the elderly couple clapped softly. Sophia's live stream comments surged. David's promotion is well earned. Emily's got her shot. Let's see if she uses it. Alicia's expression softened slightly, her professional composure giving way to something warmer. What happened tonight will become part of Sterling Hotel Group's history, but not as a stain, as a turning point. We will rebuild trust, brick by brick, and it starts here, with every one of you watching. She gestured to the crowd of guests, to the phones filming, to the tens of thousands watching online. You are witnesses. You are proof that change is not theory, it is action. The businessman in the tailored suit stood. Ms. Monroe, I've worked in corporate consulting for 2 decades. What I saw tonight, this is the most comprehensive crisis response I've ever witnessed. You didn't just punish, you built solutions in real time. Alicia inclined her head slightly. Thank you. But understand, this is not about brilliance. It's about necessity, because dignity is non-negotiable. Midnight had slipped into 12:10 a.m., but no one in the lobby had moved. It felt less like a hotel check-in desk and more like a courtroom, a classroom, and a boardroom merged into one. Sophia lowered her phone for the first time in over an hour, tears glinting in her eyes. Ms. Monroe, may I ask one thing on camera? Alicia nodded. How do you not hate them? Sophia's voice trembled. After what they said, what they did, how are you standing here so calm? The lobby stilled. Even the chandeliers seemed to hold their breath. Alicia's voice, when it came, was soft but firm. Hatred is exhausting. Revenge is temporary. But change, systematic change, that's permanent. I don't waste energy on hating. I invested in building a world where no one else has to stand where I stood tonight. The words rippled through the room. Guests blinked back tears. Phones shook slightly in hands as viewers at home whispered into their own screens. Sophia's live stream passed 40,000. Comments overflowed. Quote of the year. She's not just a CEO, she's a leader. This woman belongs in history books. Alicia gathered her bag, her laptop, and finally looked toward the elevators. The penthouse suite is waiting, but more importantly, so is tomorrow. She turned back once more to Emily and David. Be here at 8 o'clock, sharp. The work begins then. Usoma, yes, ma'am, Emily whispered. Yes, ma'am, David echoed. As Alicia stepped into the elevator, the mirrored doors reflected not a tired traveler in sneakers, but the commanding presence of a woman who had just rewritten the rules. The doors slid shut. The lobby exhaled as one. Sophia whispered into her phone. I don't even have words. You just watched history. Remember this night, y'all. Remember her name? Alicia Monroe. Ooh, the live stream comments rolled like thunder. Guest Dignity Initiative, trending now. Sterling Hotel Reform trending too. This story is bigger than a hotel. It's about all of us. 3 months later, spring sunlight spilled over Chicago like a golden tide, washing the city in warmth that cut through the last chill of winter. The Sterling Grand Hotel stood tall against the skyline, its crystal facade gleaming, but something deeper had changed within its walls. The building no longer merely projected wealth, it radiated trust. Guests streamed in and out of the revolving doors, greeted not with suspicion, but with warmth. The marble lobby was the same. The chandeliers still glimmered like falling stars, but the energy was unrecognizable. Smiles from staff weren't forced. They were genuine. Conversations weren't condescending. They were welcoming. For the first time in years, the Sterling Grand felt alive. On a Thursday afternoon, Alicia Monroe walked quietly through the lobby, sneakers still on her feet, messenger bag still slung across her shoulder. She paused at the very spot where Brian Keller had once crushed her Centurion card into the floor. That scar had long since been polished away, but now a small bronze plaque marked the place, in recognition of the dignity owed to every guest. December 17th, 2001. She smiled faintly, touching the plaque with the tips of her fingers. Behind the counter, Emily Ross stood tall in a supervisor uniform, her posture straight, her voice steady as she welcomed a family checking in. The transformation in her demeanor was striking, confidence wrapped in humility. She noticed Alicia in the lobby and blushed, but she didn't falter in her duties. Her greeting rang out with genuine care. "Welcome to the Sterling Grand, where every guest matters." To Alicia's left, David Harris approached, now wearing the tailored suit of a guest relations manager. The gold badge on his chest gleamed. David Harris, guest relations. His handshake was firm, his eyes proud. "Ms. Monroe," he said, "the numbers are in. Guest satisfaction ratings are up to 4.6 stars. Revenue increased 34%. Complaints, 0. Not a single one in 3 months." Alicia allowed herself a rare, unguarded smile. "That's what happens when people believe in the work." "And the staff turnover rate," David added, "down to 15%. Alicia finished for him. "From nearly 90, that's what happens when people feel safe." A reporter's voice cut across the lobby. "Ms. Monroe, can we get a word?" Alicia turned to find cameras rolling. The story of that December night had spread far beyond Chicago. Sophia Park's live stream had been replayed millions of times, clipped and shared across every social platform. The hashtags Sterling Hotel, racism, and later hashtag Guest Dignity Initiative had trended globally. Civil rights lawyers cited the video in speeches. CEOs discussed it at conferences. And just last week, Harvard Business School had announced a case study titled The Sterling Transformation. The reporter pressed forward. Mic extended. "What do you say to critics who argue you humiliated your employees that night?" Alicia's voice was calm, steady, unflinching. "Truth isn't humiliation. Accountability isn't cruelty. When bias festers in silence, it spreads. We cut it out that night, and because sunlight is the best disinfectant." Guests nearby applauded softly. Cameras flashed. "And what about your reforms?" the reporter asked. "They're not reforms," Alicia replied. "They're corrections. We corrected a system that rewarded arrogance and punished humility. We corrected a culture that mistook discrimination for discernment. And now we've proven that change isn't just possible, it's profitable." The applause grew louder. Guests clapped, staff clapped, even a few children clapped without understanding why, sensing only that something important was happening. Sophia Park herself appeared at the edge of the crowd, now carrying a press badge. Sterling Hotel Group, Communications. She raised her phone to capture Alicia's words, this time not as an outsider live streaming injustice, but as an insider telling the story of reform. Alicia's gaze softened when she saw her. "Ms. Park," she said warmly, "how's the new role treating you?" Sophia grinned, cheeks flushed with pride. "It's been the honor of my life, Miss Monroe. And to think, 3 months ago, I was just a bystander with a phone." "You weren't just a bystander," Alicia corrected. "You were a witness, and you used your voice. That made all the difference." And Sophia's eyes glistened. "Thank you." As the cameras clicked, Alicia raised her voice slightly, addressing the guests, the staff, and the invisible audience beyond the lobby. 3 months ago, this hotel was broken. Guests walked in and were judged before they spoke. Employees worked under managers who taught them to sneer instead of serve. But tonight, you stand in a hotel that's proof of what happens when people choose accountability over defensiveness, growth over stubbornness, dignity over arrogance. The crowd fell silent, listening. "This isn't just about one hotel," Alicia continued. "It's about restaurants, stores, offices, schools, everywhere people are told, by words or by looks, that they don't belong. To everyone watching, your voice matters. Your story matters, and your dignity is not negotiable." A hush swept through the lobby, followed by thunderous applause. Cameras captured it, phones live-streamed it, and the digital wave spread outward once again. Later that evening, Alicia stood at her penthouse window, gazing out at the Chicago skyline glowing against the lake. She reflected on the irony. The very suite she had been denied entry to had become the headquarters of reform. Deals had been closed here, not just with Tokyo, but with justice itself. Her phone buzzed with a new message. Harvard Business School, final draft of Sterling case study attached for review. She opened it briefly, scanning the first line. In December 2020, a single confrontation in a hotel lobby transformed into a global lesson on dignity, accountability, and leadership. Alicia closed her phone, set it on the desk, and let herself breathe. For the first time in months, her chest felt light. Downstairs, in the lobby she had remade, guests checked in with smiles, staff greeted with respect, and a plaque glimmered quietly, reminding everyone who passed, dignity is permanent, discrimination is temporary, and for the tens of thousands who had first witnessed it on a shaky Instagram Live, the message still echoed. Change was possible, but only if someone was brave enough to demand it. Alicia Monroe's stand at Sterling Grand Chicago becomes a legend, studied in classrooms, discussed in boardrooms, remembered by guests and staff as the night dignity triumphed. If this story moved you, share it. Tell your own story of dignity, of accountability, of change. Don't forget to like this video, leave your experiences in the comments, and subscribe for more true tales of transformation. Remember, your voice matters, your story matters, and your dignity is never up for debate.